Hi there, my name is Alex Asher. I'm the CEO of LearnCube. We specialize in helping language teachers and language schools go online. And today we're with a very special guest, as always. It is the magnificent Wilim Abrook, who is going to be joining us and telling us really some really practical tips. I mean, they're not just nice to have, but this is from a lot of experience, and we're talking 4,000 plus hours worth of
chasing on 4,000 hours on LearnCube.
Keep chasing. I like it. But Wilim has a real wealth of experience and knowledge, and so we're going to be tapping into a couple of key themes today. Now, Wilim, do you want to just quickly explain, do a little intro about yourself so people know your experience, and then also some of the topics that you're going to cover today.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm. Hello. So I think, what is it with LearnCube? I'm the head of education and community development. Just like that. But basically, what my role in LearnCube is just talking to schools who are, in the process of signing up or kind of, training their staff on how to use the platform. And also a lot of the time I'm talking to people, before they're joining us to see is it right for them, and kind of advising people on how to use the platform. But aside from that, I'm an English teacher. That's like the day job, and yeah, I've many thousands of hours on LearnCube and off now teaching. And for the school that I work for, which uses LearnCube, I also do trial classes. I also train new teachers, and I do a lot of kind of admin work with students as an academic advisor. So, there's definitely people with more experience in specific things than me, but I think I have a nice kind of broad view of schools running, and it's great to be able to chat to our users so frequently, because I'm really getting the direct feedback about how people are using the school and what kind of obstacles people have. So we did a webinar a couple of weeks ago, and it was very lofty, big ideas and talking about that. So I wanted to do the opposite this week. Basically, what I want to show you guys is, okay, how can we systemize your classes and your teaching style and your admin work? And what I mean by that is, okay, how can we cut corners and make life easier, So in class, like in a real life class, teachers do this by, basically learning a performance. So exactly where you stand, what line you draw where on the board. And, we go through the same kind of processes. And I think every teacher will have a few little tricks like this. When we're talking about this topic, I know what I'm going to say. I know what question is typically going to be asked, and I'm prepared for, because I've done this class 100 times. And then you're thrown into an online environment like we all were this year. And suddenly you're losing your footing. So a lot of people are feeling a bit lost and getting bogged down with the, not necessarily extra paperwork, but it's different paperwork you're not used to. And then if we can, obviously everyone understands, we can cut down that wasted time in class and out of it. You can, give your students more value and spend more time with the dog, So
spending more time with the dog sounds good.
Yeah, actually, quality time.
I really like that as well, Wilim, because it got me thinking that as you say, a lot of teaching is a presentation. And just like in a presentation, I know that if I get the start right, then the rest just sort of follows. But if I stutter or kind of forget the first couple of words or the first lines, that could be a problem itself, choke, right? Yeah. So I'm really excited about this, Wilim, because I imagine maybe there's some ways that we can almost rehearse. It's like getting into the zone for an online class.
Well, yeah. I mean, because I'm going to show you basically my setup, how I do it. Well, one of the first things I want to talk about is, we are working online, we're working with computers. Now, I have, I studied fine art media and like computer art and all this kind of stuff. So I'm very comfortable with computers. But a lot of people aren't. And this is a thing I've noticed with onboarding some of our new schools, our new kind of members of the LearnCube community. They have a lot of teachers who are really experienced teachers, and they just can basically send an email and maybe receive the email as well, and that's it. So they really freak out. And there are some things that I do that people have told me, oh, that's like magic. What are you doing? For me, it's so basic. So hang on, I'm going to share my screen here. Where Where are we? This one. Tell me, can you guys see can you see the screen?
Oh, we sure can. Yeah,
okay,
perfect.
cool. So I'm going to make this available. I will send it to anyone who wants it at the end of the class.
Yeah, we'll put it also on our knowledge base.
Yeah.
And
so
then we
these are
can
just,
pass this on.
there's loads and loads of little keyboard shortcuts, you know, and I'm sure anyone who is maybe not so confident with computers has been frustrated by someone trying to explain something and say, oh, you just do, you know, but these are the basic ones. So Ctrl X or Command X on a Mac is cut. All right, so cut, I take something away. Copy, I just copy it. Paste, I stick it back in somewhere. So when I'm on browser like Chrome or Explorer or whatever, Command T will open a new tab, and Command Shift T will reopen that tab. Control and W, oh, I've written down close window, which I'll change, it should be close tab. If you go Control W, it will close the tab, and then Control Q will close the program. And the last one here, so those are, most people will know those, but you know, it's nice to have that as a reference. The last one here is the tricky one. You can see on a Mac, my hand goes into this kind of shape when I put my hand on a keyboard.
You have to use two hands. You have to. You
can. I mean, you know, you will tell you, yeah, you can do it in two hands, but yeah, also remembering it. So it's very intimidating. If you use Windows 10, there is, you know, good news. There is a good thing about Windows. It's one easier shortcut. So it's just Control, Shift, and S. But what I do here, you should be able to see me doing it here. Can you see that little selection?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I wasn't sure up on the screen share. So what I've done, I did this big one, Command, Control, Shift, and 4. What that does, that will allow me to take a selection of the screen like that. And it hasn't saved it as a screenshot. It's not like pressing print screen. It's just copied it to the clipboard. And then if I press Command V, because I'm going to paste it, it should, oh, sorry, I'm not in a window at the moment that I can paste into. So I'll show you in a moment. I can paste that, I'm gonna enter a class. I can paste that image that I just copied into either a Microsoft Word document or Open Office document, or I can paste it actually into the virtual classroom. And I use this a lot when I'm really quickly trying to explain something to a student. Maybe I've got a low-level student and you know, there's a picture I want to show them. Rather than trying to describe something, I can just quickly open up Google Images. I'm entering this class I'm talking here, and you know, copy the image and paste it in. So let's see. Will it work for me? Yeah, there you go. So sorry. So that's the image I just copied from the screen, or I can take a picture of my own beautiful face here as well and stick it in. You know, so I can do loads of nice little tricks like that. Okay.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
So there's one little thing. Again, some of you might find that really basic, but for some of you, those shortcuts, and don't try and learn them all at once. If you're someone like my mother, who really doesn't get it at all, you know, just learn the one or two that they're kind of in order of how frequently I would use them and how useful I think they are. So, I mean, Command C for copy, Command V for paste, that's so rudimentary, and loads of people don't know that. So they'll, you know, right click and they'll copy and then they'll do it the other way. And it just saves a little bit of time, and it makes you more confident if you can do these things. You know, you can be one of those annoying people.
Yeah, I really love that copy to clipboard. I didn't realize how useful it was until, you know, we've got this beautiful whiteboard and canvas. You know, you can be copying images and really kind of maximizing the interactivity there. You can even use those images to almost create a sense of vibe, you know, into the classroom, rather than always having a white canvas. You can use it to, you know, add a little bit of fun or kind of maybe show your own personality that way.
Well, also, I mean, we're talking about like really adding value to the class, and the way that we've designed LearnCube, it is, I say we, I had nothing to do with it, but it's designed to really emulate that teacher-student interaction. So it's not really like Zoom is great for what we're doing now for a big webinar where we got lots of people listening, but we want to have that interaction. And the other week I had Yona, a student of mine, it was his birthday, he was 12 the day before, and his uncle, who's also a student, sent me a photo of his birthday cake and stuff, you know, just randomly. So I did the same thing, you know, copy and pasted the picture, and then I got him to describe his own birthday cake from the day before, and it really, you know, it was a nice little connection. So yeah, having a multimedia experience, you know, even though we're, you know, far away and through a screen, you can really make it personal with these little things, you know.
That's it.
Okay, so well, those are my shortcuts. You have to remind me to fix this one. It's not close window, it's closed tab. So next thing I want to show you is just how I organize my time. Let me make this a lot bigger. You guys see it? So I wanted to show you this because if I'm right, this should make absolutely no sense to anyone. I have 4 jobs and I'm incredibly busy and I need to juggle meetings and arrange things, you know, around each other. And, you know, I often will have users on LearnCube that need some help with something I need to throw in a meeting, or, you know, I've got trial classes with my school, you know. So this is how I do it. And I like it this way. And that's all I wanted to show you, that I like it this way. So some people, well, think about it. You've got a teacher, you know, you're working in a normal brick and mortar school and you use a diary, or you prefer to use just Google Calendar or whatever you use. For one job, I need to use Google Calendar. For another thing, I use LearnCube's calendar. Actually, I use that for a lot of stuff, more than I should, and it annoys my teacher coordinator. And, you know, I use Calendly, I use a lot of different things, but this is like my central place. So if you have a diary, like a little book you write in, you know, that's great. Like, keep using that. Don't drop things either, just because we've got all this new technology. So use the stuff that works for you, you know, and it's no harm to use it in addition to your Google Calendar, whatever else you actually need to use for your company's preference, you know. So yeah. I don't know. I think that's just a little tip.
Like it.
Yeah, all right. So the next thing I want to show you guys is Streak. Okay, so if you use Gmail, and yeah, you should, because it's good. Gmail has some nice features. It's gotten really kind of more, I don't want to say interactive, more dynamic recently. So, you know, I can schedule an email and stuff like that here. But Streak is an add-on. So on YouTube, maybe I'll include the link. I'll talk to Mr. Streak himself and see, can he give me, you know, some advertising revenue or whatever. But it's just a free add-on. You can add it into Gmail. And basically, it does a few little things. You can see I've got these extra buttons at the bottom of my screen here. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but the ones I use are snippets and send later, like a schedule send. So for a snippet, I mean, this is, you know, less than a minute, but if you're doing it every day 100 times, you know, I type in here, notes, hey, here are our notes, see you soon, blah, blah, blah. Having little templates like that. So this is my class notes one, the other ones I use. So if a student is late for class or they're not there, hey, our class has started. If you need any help connecting, please let me know, you know. Or if anyone has dealt with me on, hang on, I'll put in the reminder one again. If anyone has dealt with me on LearnCube and I've done a demo with you, you've definitely received, I hope that helps. If you have any more questions, please let me know and I'd be happy to assist you further. You know? So this one's nice. Notice that I can just stick it in here. So it doesn't have to be a full message. So I'll put it in here again. You know, maybe this is a little line that you're going to use commonly, or you have a frequent question that students ask you. Another thing is, you know, there doesn't have to be just text. So if you're doing trial classes, now we have a demo classroom. So we have like a demo classroom in the online school, and this would be my demo classroom link here for our example school. So this thing here, I've got, you know, my link to access the class, and I've got some instructions, you know, oh, please click allow or share when you go in, because if it's the first time the student's accessing LearnCube, you know, they might not know how to get in. Recommending using Chrome or Firefox, which I do to all you guys as well. And if you're using an iPhone or iPad, you need to use Safari. You know, just information in it that will make it a bit smoother for them. And then I've got this XXX, so I'll put in the name and date and time. One thing to avoid with this, though, be really careful about being formulaic. You know, people know when they're getting a template. If I get a template here, I mean, obviously it's a template, and that's fine. But I am an academic advisor. Which means that I'm, you know, taking care of 400 or 500 students now. It's increased so much. But you know, regularly I need to go through their file and send them a message. You know, hi, I'm just following up, making sure you're happy your classes, happy your teachers. And a part of that, we want to make it more personal. So I'll obviously give them some advice and some feedback based on what I can see in their notes in their past classes. So I don't want to give them the same thing every time, but there are certain things I'll use. So being able to stick in a little paragraph with some things, and I really recommend putting it in bold this bit here, so I can just go Ctrl B to bold or unbold. So I'll remember to change it, or even maybe make it red.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
You'll see. So you don't want to send someone an email that actually says hi XXX, you know. But yeah, just think about how I can do it. Right? I want to save myself time, but at the same time, I don't want to, you know, do too like obvious templates. Another little thing you can do with Streak is down here. I can send later.
Well,
oh, sorry, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is a really important thing to remember if you're starting with any kind of technology, is rather than just sending people, and this applies whether you're using LearnCube or anything. A lot of students are unfamiliar with technology, and just send them a little comforting message of how they might open it, even if it's as simple as open a link. In LearnCube, we really encourage, as Wilim said, Chrome and Firefox if you're using any kind of computer, Safari if you're using any kind of iOS device, but it just prevents a problem. So the more problems that you can prevent and the more comfortable you can make those students feel, I think it makes all the difference. And it does show that extra personal touch, which I think a lot of people are really looking for as well. So good to see that you're actually actioning this as well, of course.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be offended. So I'm good with computers. I'm not going to be offended if you send me this big list. But again, my mother, she receives this. I mean, she'll need to call me to explain it all to her. But, you know, it's it is really, really useful. And these touches, you know, understand what your students need and try and find the easiest, smoothest way to get them into the class, you know. So the other little thing you can do with Streak, which I won't show you too much about, I can schedule this message. So I can send it, you know, on a different day, a different time. You all know how useful that might be. So one important thing with Streak, though, let's go here. I'm going to go to my Streak settings here. So really important thing, and I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Oh, I have to see all settings, sorry. They keep changing Gmail on me. So Streak settings, go into settings, go into Streak settings. You'll see this here, track emails by default. So Streak is designed for like marketing and people, you know, they want to see how many people look at them. But particularly if you're in Europe or working with students and you disable this, because this will breach GDPR guidelines, you know, because you're like tracking whether they've seen your email and it's adding cookies that they don't have like an opt-in for. So that's the one thing I don't like about Streak, is they automatically set that up when you, like that's the default setting. So just make sure if you do choose to add Streak, it's really easy to use. I really recommend it. But go into your settings, Streak settings, and then disable this email tracking. And I think even if you're not working with students in Europe, like that's good practice. You know, it's not, you don't need to be tracking them and adding extra cookies to their emails. Okay, so that is Streak. The next thing I want to show you is a LearnCube. Oh, here's me again. A LearnCube feature we have. So I mentioned before, there are certain subjects that you know, I stand here and I say this, or I ask this question and wait until, you know, there's always the one smart kid at the back of the room that answers it a certain way, you know. So there's ways to do that and use that in the classroom as well. And we've kind of built it with that in mind. So we've got this little history button, these past classes, and precious few people have ever looked at this. You know, I find that, you know, a lot of teachers, they'll go through their material libraries here, maybe they'll use the settings and stuff, but they never even look at this one. So this is a really good feature. If you look here, I've got all of my past classes. You see all my training sessions here. I can basically star these. So let's say I have a class and I want to continue where I left off before the weekend or something. And I can click this, reload all of the notes into the classroom exactly where they were when we finished. But I've got these little starred ones, so I click here, just showing me these saved ones. So let's do saved class 1. I can view it here. We'll just open it in a new tab, and it's like the class review that you may have seen before. I can't edit this, but I could just see it quickly. Okay, is this the one that I wanted, you know? Because here I've cleverly named them saved class 1, saved class 2, but maybe you don't have the name of the class like that. So, but I click this button here, it'll reload it into the class. Now notice this is something you can do when you're finished everything that's open, because you see here, you're trying to reload content from a past class. This will replace any content annotations. So it's going to clear everything you have open and fill this in. So here we go. All right, so here I've got this is a class that I always do about perfect forms, kind of explaining this grammar point to students. So I've got this totally filled out, and afterwards I've got an exercise that we can do, and I can just click that start class rather than having to redraw all this. So again though, like we talked about with snippets, you have to really consider, okay, am I just saving time or am I eliminating some value? So that's why I've created a second one here. This is what I would recommend. So you've seen this is my full notes, but really it would be nice just to put this one in. Oh, have I saved it twice the same? I saved it the same way. So what I really wanted to do, I had another one saved earlier where I deleted all of these things. So if I was to save this the way I want it, I would delete all these little things, because actually drawing the little notes on the screen and adding all these little annotations, asking the student, okay, where would I put the X? These are really, really important parts of the learning process. So this, even though I'll take away these two things, this is my ideal saved lesson for this particular class, and then I ask the student all the bits. I know where to write them in, and it saves time, Sorry?
You can also use like the shapes tool as well. I find it a really helpful. So there's two other ways that you can kind of gain the attention of your student. One is using shapes just to block out.
Yeah, my big white block.
Yeah, really helpful. And then the second way is using our pointer tool. Now, again, you don't have to use these tools. We're just trying to find ways of making it easier for you as a teacher to make the most out of the classroom. And hopefully what we're trying to do is make at least your classes seem of much higher perceived value than what they would get in any other class. But
yeah, I am.
Have a look at other tools. I'm unsure exactly what they offer, but the principles are the same, which is how do we provide these little personal touches that help the student feel like they're engaging and interacting with the class, and how do we make it as visual as possible? Because while I love to see Wilim's face twice in this case with Zoom, the reality is that I want to listen to what Wilim's teaching me, and I want to be able to see what I'm learning. And one of the things I've learned from talking with other really successful schools is this idea of productizing the learning at the end of the class. So at the end of the class, instead of it just being, okay, goodbye, and then that was the end of the class, because all that was exchanged were words, all done through Zoom or all done through whatever kind of web conferencing software. Ideally, you want to give somebody something at the end of class that makes them feel like, I did something or I learned something and this is what it was. And you've synthesized that for the student. I think that's a huge value. And it's definitely the thing that I think a lot of students look to in terms of coming back for more.
Yeah, and I think again, that's a really good attitude, a really nice way to look at it, because what we really want to do is think, okay, what is the value that I'm actually adding here? So not just I've got all these cool tools and cool toys, how can I use this to really, really, boost the value of the class for the student? Yeah. So talking about productizing, simply these class notes that I'm reloading, your student can also access your class notes at the end of the class. And that's really nice for them to be able to, this is a perfectly organized, pre-prepared little thing, but usually my class notes are scribbles and stickmen. But I've made this with the student, like doing this kind of online notebook, and he can go back or she can go back over them. And it reminds me of another little trick. So you can only have 6 tabs open here. It could be a PDF, it could be videos or stuff, but you can have a maximum of 6, I believe. We'll try and do 7. Yeah, too many tabs. So I've got to close these. Now, if you're like me and you draw loads in your classes, it means you're going to have 6 whiteboards and then you need to start deleting them. So it means that your student's not going to have them in their, class notes. So what you do is create a landscape, because it's better, Word document or a PowerPoint document with just maybe 10 pages, and save it as a blank PDF and just call it whiteboards. And then upload that to your teacher library. And when you want to have a load of whiteboards, you're going to be drawing a lot in this class. Maybe you got kids as well, particularly, there's a little lock here for exactly that reason, So kids will love to draw all over the place. So you can release the whiteboard for them as a little treat. But yeah, you've then saved all those and they'll be able to go through and look at it at the end of the class. You know, I have some students who don't care. I have some students who really, really value being able to go back over their notes. So talking about the library is the next thing I wanted to talk about here. Anyone who is, you know, doing administration for one of our online schools, you'll have seen this before. So this is behind the curtain for everyone else. So I'm going to click here on our library tab. We have in the full online school platform, you've basically got a library, like an admin library. So, you know, you can upload all of the files that you want everyone to be able to see, or everyone to be able to access in class. And then teachers can also, like, let's say, Alex, you send me your homework, I can upload that as well separately. And, you know, it means that it doesn't clog up the whole system. But we get asked a lot, okay, why are there no folders here? Why can't I organize it that way? And it's something we've kind of experimented with in the past, but we found just through experience that yes, it's definitely easier for the person doing admin, but I'm sorry, admin people, it's you're not the priority. In class, you want the teacher to be able to access the file smoothly, seamlessly, find something they're looking for. So the way that the library works, the search tool here is actually really, really good. This is my demo one, so I don't have that many materials here. I don't really use this account for teaching, but we got the premium materials. This is our ESL content for anyone teaching English. I really recommend it. So you can see the way it's organized here. Let me zoom in a bit. So I've got EN for English because in the future, French is coming one day. We've got EN, A1, O1, you know, so there's a little code. And I recommend using, you know, not necessarily this one, but if you have your own material, you have a curriculum you want all your teachers to use, a little short code that's easy to understand, easy to follow. I know what level they are and what page we're on. And you can see here, this is the video. So if I type in EN A108, for example, I will get the video and the file. So they both pop up here, really easy to access. But also you'll notice we've done this little description. So let me type in interview. Yeah. Now everything with interviewing pops up. So B1 business level, C1 business level, I've got this B2 one as well. Also, if I had any other materials, like if this was my personal teaching account, you would see like, you know, interview questions 1, interview questions 2, you know, I've got a load of different files. And I try to organize them this way. Also, if you are a teacher and you're uploading homework and stuff like that, I really, really recommend saving it as your name, dash, and then whatever. The reason for that is, and I've made this mistake before, you know, you're going to need to go and do some spring cleaning. And if your files are named all over the place, you know, it's going to be really hard to find them again. Or your student says, oh, let's look at the homework we did 2 weeks ago. And you go, okay. So if you just call it, if I type in Wilim, you know, I'll see everything that says Wilim. Do I have any here? Oh yeah, I have Wilim example, you know, so, but I have my own personal teaching one. I'd have a load named Wilim, you know, and then the student's name and then the date. And I will periodically go through and delete them all, you know. So yeah, that's how our library is organized. And that's the reason we don't have folders. And yeah, I really encourage you to do it that way because it's so easy to find what you want then.
One of the things on that library is even your computer these days, the idea of folders comes from like way back when you didn't have what we call almost like universal search. So before it made way more sense to have folders because it was the only way for you to find something. Whereas now it makes far more sense in terms of what do you value more in a class as a teacher? It's like the instantaneous or that ability to be both spontaneous and also have like a seamless experience. And that's, I think, one of the things to kind of keep in mind. So even regardless, even if you did want to use your own folder system, having this naming structure, I think as soon as you start exploring your own computer, you're going to find that it actually has advantages in your computer, in Google Drive, and of course, in LearnCube as well.
And that's, yeah, it's a really nice thing to think about, okay, what is the obstacle for my teachers here? So let's say, I don't know if anyone, any of the participants here is a trainer for teachers in your school, but this is something I'll notice. So I might get feedback from one of my students as an advisor saying, oh, you know, the class was okay, but the teacher wasted loads of my time, you know, looking for this and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, there's two ways you could react. You could say, oh, you know, give out to them and say, do it properly. Or you could say, okay, well, obviously they're just a bit slow with the computer, and I'm going to, you know, show them a few tips and tricks. And what we've started doing in the school I work for is we've got these like monthly sessions where we'll have a workshop on a certain topic. They used to be kind of webinar style like this, so it'd be a bit of a lecture. And now the best ones are when, you know, we'll have a problem, suggest a problem. People write in their experience of what was the problem in this topic and how did you solve it, or did you solve it? And then we'll all come together and have a good chin wag and chat about difficult students and how we dealt with them and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, you can really make a community out of a school, even though you're not together, you know. So yeah, I think people see technology as a separating thing, but yeah, we're really thinking of what is needed and how can we do it, you know. And then you can almost forget the technology's there. So like Alex said, it's seamless. You know? The next thing I wanted to look at was we talked about copying and pasting stuff. So you've got snippets for Gmail. You've got this like history, past classes stuff here, but it will delete your whiteboard. Sometimes there are specific notes that I will use, like in this little PDF. So this is what I use for my trial classes. There's a few exercises I do in the level assessment. And you know, the first thing, I don't know what level the student is. So I've got my first two lines. Hi, I'm Wilim, blah, blah, blah. So I will just really quickly copy that. And by the way, if you don't know, double click on a word, selects the word, triple click on a sentence or a paragraph, selects the whole sentence. So another trick. Yeah. So copy, pop it into here, you know, and then I can say, oh, you know, hey, I'm Wilim, blah, blah, blah. And I can ask the student to introduce themselves, but I haven't wasted time typing it in. And this is, again, you have to consider it's a trial class, their first time maybe learning online, their first time definitely with you as a teacher. They don't want to spend the first 10 seconds of you going, oh, you know. So I've done that. And then I've got these other things. This is from my own notes. So when I finish my trial class, I'll copy and paste that over. Da, da, da. She wants to learn English because she has most trouble with this, you know. These little notes here are for a vocabulary exercise I do. So I have all the answers. So what I can just copy it like that. And now I can paste in the answer when or if the student gets it, and spend more of my time encouraging the student, chatting to the student, building a relationship. And then I've got this picture here. And I actually use this one to describe conscientiousness, which is, oh, I gotta do in a new tab here, sorry. Conscientiousness, yeah, very difficult word to actually explain to a student. So I'll start with the root, you know, conscience. What is your conscience? And there we go. So having little pictures like this ready, and all I've done here, this was Microsoft Word. I you know, wrote in a few things and I saved the Word document. So as I learn, you know, okay, I do this section of our material, or the, you know, LearnCube material every week, and these are the answers I want. You know, I can add to it, and I have a few of these now. So when I'm doing a certain class, I just pop open my notes, and I can copy and paste a picture into that and save it. And yeah, just grab it and stick it in the class. So there you go. That's what I do, and it makes my classes a lot faster.
Yeah, I like that as well, Willem. One of the things I was thinking of is could you just do a screen grab of that entire what you've got there? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you put that, and you could, for example, do this as a PDF if you wanted to, and load it into your own library. But if you paste that and then make it bigger, can you just, and then you can use a shape, for example, and you can just do what we were talking about before. So
and block a bit off. Yeah,
you could even block it off, and then you've already got your start if you wanted it.
Yeah. And this is preempting the next little thing I want to show you too.
Okay, let's see it.
One important thing though on this, if you are using an image as a background like this, remember that it is an object. So if you click on the white behind it, you're going to click it and select it and move it. Yeah. So if you have something that you're going to use regularly as material, create a PDF. So I'm just going to open up my an example one here. PDF. There we go. Yeah. So this is a BBC thingy that I use sometimes. So this is a PDF file loaded into the whiteboard whenever it loads. You'll notice if I have the pointer and I click, it's not doing anything. And I can write on top of it. So I've got my 2 lines, and I can select those 2 lines without selecting the background. So there is a real value in having a PDF. But what we just did there a minute ago, if you're an English teacher or a language teacher, I really, really recommend this website here. I might add it in the links below or something after the demonstration. So ISL Collective, they have loads and loads of materials. If you're using this stuff, remember someone has put a lot of time into it. So if you're going to use something like this, you know, upvote, give them a little like. I got to log in again. And, you know, don't obviously steal all their stuff, you know, because people put a lot of work into making these materials and they're making it available to you. Another thing to remember is you should be very careful when using this material. I have seen some mistakes and stuff because it's not like, you know, a company producing this. This is just someone who's put together their own material. So there might be typos or something. Just, yeah, have a look before you recommend it to a student to do an exercise. But what I'm going to do here, all right, I see this handout. Now, this is made for teachers, like real teachers in the real world, you know. So it's shaped like a piece of paper. And that's great in class. You know, I print this off. I hand it out to all my students in class and we work on it. You know, but nowadays we're not working in portrait, we're working in landscape. And I could download it and I could try and move it around, but you can see, and you'll find this with a lot of materials online. They're not designed like our ones kind of are for using online. And they're full of clip art. Even if you try and download this as a Microsoft Word document, which you can do on this website, it's great. You know, it's going to be a mess. So what I do, instead of trying to download it and stuff, I will just pick one thing at a time. I'm going to copy this. Now, when I copy this as well, zoom in as much as you can, because obviously when I'm taking a screenshot, you know, the bigger that picture is on my screen, the bigger the resolution is going to be. So I'll zoom in, take a picture of the section I want, go back to my online school, and, oh, sorry, I got to do a new tab, forgetting. And I can paste it in there. And now I can do, just like Alex said before, maybe I've got a reading section that's got some questions. Or I want to, you know, remove a couple of words or something like that and have the student guess, you know, what could I fill in there instead. So yeah, you can grab materials from anywhere online. Another thing I'll do with some of my advanced students, we do kind of poetry. So I'll open up a Robert Frost poem or something like that, you know, and I can just, rather than even sharing my screen with them or putting in a load of text and copying and pasting text, you know, if you have, I've probably got one saved here. Robert Frost. Oh, it doesn't, I thought it would pop up. Here we go, yeah. So if I go to this website that has a Robert Frost poem on it, or, you know, an article, whatever you're using for your classes, you know, it's nicely formatted. So instead of copying all the text and then pasting it in and trying to do things, I can literally just copy like that, paste it into my class, and there you go. I can use this kind of as a background to draw on top of. Okay, so hopefully that's another tip. Can we call that, that's one tip finished, yeah?
You've gone through so many. I'm struggling to keep up with you, Wilim. I think we've gone through about 10 today. Yeah.
Well, there's one more I'm going to show you guys.
Excellent.
And it is right here on my dashboard. I don't know if you can see all these little symbols. So if you use Google Chrome, these little icons are bookmarks. It's got a really nice feature, which is the bookmarks toolbar. So basically, let's say I go to LearnCube.com. Okay, so here we go. I want to bookmark this tab. I don't know, can you see if I'm bookmarking something? Because I'm opening up the things, but I can.
Not necessarily. I think it's just slightly outside of view.
You guys can use your imagination. I'm bookmarking this tab, and it'll ask me where I want to add it, you know, what folder, and you have the option of the bookmarks bar. So if I do that, here we go. You can see now LearnCube is added.
Sure.
And if, like me, you have a lot of them, because I've even got my Facebook and Instagram up here, you know, not just my work things, right click on it, edit, and just delete the name. And now it's just
Oh, that's
logo.
brilliant.
So you can see here, and you can also put folders here. So this is where I actually have all my LearnCube stuff for when I'm working. But I've also got my demo classroom for the school I work for. I've also got Netflix, of course, but I've got ISL here. This is that website that has all the material. So if a student is telling me something, oh, you know, I'm really struggling with the continuous forms, you know, type in past continuous into here really quickly. I mean, it's taken me like 2 seconds and I'm still chatting to you while I'm doing it. Pick an exercise that looks about right, you know, give it a little upvote, and I can copy and paste and do it like that. So, you know, we want to be prepared for class as much as possible, but a big part of having these shortcuts and being really comfortable with them is being able to change your class just like that. And that's another thing that students expect these days, not just for, you know, good material and good teaching, but they expect you to be able to customize everything to what they want, like their learning experience, particularly in a one-on-one class. So those are the ones I had prepared. I wonder, from the people watching, our adoring public, are there any areas that you struggle with when teaching online, or any things that you need tips for? Or are there any tips that you have for us? You know, because I'm sure people have ones that I don't.
Yeah, so start your engines on the chat, and please both share. Like, we've tried to share as much as we can today, and would love if you can share something that you do and you find really helpful. But likewise, it's also really good for us if you can give us some problems. That's what we're here for, is to help problem solve today as well. So we'll leave you to kind of just start writing that out. While we're talking about this, Wilim, is there anything that you would suggest for really new teachers to online? And when I say really new, like even a couple of months, I mean, you might go to default and you might be okay online, but you may still feel quite uncomfortable online. What advice would you give those teachers?
Yeah, well, one thing is, like if you were one of those teachers, you know, fairly new to online, maybe not super techie, and you're watching this webinar, at the start you'd be like, oh yeah, Ctrl C, that's great. And now you're probably pulling your hair out and really freaking out, you know. So don't worry about learning all this really quickly. You know, in the classroom, it takes years to build up those kind of performance techniques that we talked about. So take it one thing at a time. I think it's better to learn one new habit per week if you're a kind of methodical person like me. You know, I've got a new thing to do and I'm going to try and learn one new habit, try and use this as much as I can in my classes, you know. And then I won't need to worry about being overwhelmed. By the time I'm learning my new thing, it's become a habit already.
Yeah.
So Nelly has a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So how can I create documents to fill them in by my students during the class? Okay, cool. So let me share my screen again. I'll just go into a classroom to show you this.
And while we're doing this, please feel like you can continue adding your chat messages, because we will be finishing this up in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, cool. So here's a document. This is the only one I have, unfortunately. Sorry, Nelly. This is not my teaching account. This is my like LearnCube training account. But this is the example one I use. Now you can imagine here's a space where I would fill it in. People have often asked me, okay, like I've uploaded a PDF, but I can't click on this link. Nothing happens. Or you've got a PowerPoint document. You know, you can upload PowerPoint files here as well, and Word files. I actually don't recommend it. I recommend saving them as a PDF and then uploading that, because it's a smaller file and it'll load faster. And what it does is it will convert it to a PDF for you. So this is a flat image. When you put a PDF into LearnCube, it's a background. So they can't just click here and start typing. But all you got to do is, and you know, we've talked about teachers getting used to it. Students are going to need to get used to these tools as well. You're going to need to help a student maybe in their second or third language, you know, where to click and what to do. And I have mannerisms and stuff for doing that now. I'm automatic. If someone seems to be struggling with the tools, I know what to say. But yeah, get them to, you know, select A for add text, click here. What is it? Getting better. And that is how I would do it. Now, you might be thinking, oh, but I want it to be more interactive and I want them to be clicking. Well, why are they in a class with you if, you know, they want to do something interactive and automatic? You know, you're there to guide them. So the idea here is, if this was a really interactive document, first of all, it's going to distract from the teacher-student interaction, which is what we're all about, but also it's a bigger file, it loads more. If I want to put this here, for whatever reason, I might accidentally click on the link and open it up, and the student's on a different web page. It gets very distracting. So PDFs are background. And then, yeah, I can fill them in like that. So all you need to bear in mind, this is not the best idea for material because it's portrait. If you're creating material for your students to fill in, leave plenty of space for them to write. Try and have it landscape, like horizontal, and try and have plenty of white space. This is actually nice here because I've got all this space where I can go on a bit of a tangent and add extra information for my students. So allow the student to use this platform kind of to the best of its ability. So I hope that answers your question.
I think that's a great tip on whiteboard, also white space. Again, I feel like that sort of adds value to the student. Like if they feel like they've added something to it compared to simply being another passive, you know, student. Like the more you can get them interacting, which is what we've designed LearnCube for, the more likely they are to learn, and particularly the more likely they are to value what they've learned.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my classes when I was starting out were like me writing notes and I'm like, am I writing a textbook for the student to look at? Much better when the student writes their own notes, they're much more likely to go back over them, you know. So Stephanie's asking how to display the student's replies if they're doing written work. So if it's a small written thing, get the student to write. Getting better like that. If the student is not understanding.
Willem, we can't see you.
Oh, sorry. I stopped sharing my screen here. Let's go back again. So yeah, if it's a small written piece, you know, getting better like this using the text tool. If the student is not getting it, they're not understanding where the button is, they can't understand gestures, just go like this. Oh, look here, there's a chat thing, and get them to type it here and paste it in. But if what I think your question is about, you're talking about like a writing exercise, a long writing exercise. So there's a couple of things we can do. If the student has sent it to you in advance, like by email, it's probably the best situation, copy and paste into Microsoft Word, double space it so that you've got like extra rows. And then you can upload it again as a, as a PDF, and you've got a background. Because when a student gives you a writing exercise, you want to make a lot of corrections and cross things out. So if you've got a load of text, like this, I'm doing that in a minute. So the more text you have, then the more difficult it becomes to edit it. You can see if it's really long, it's going to go off the page. And if I try and scribble something out here and then click on it, I'm going to click on the text and I've clicked on the wrong thing, and now I'm stressed and the student's upset and it all goes wrong. So try, if you can, to get them to send it to you as a in advance, save it as a PDF. If you don't have time, of course, just copy it, paste it in. I've done that before as well. You know, maybe make the text. So if you've got that big text section like this, you know, if you click on this color thing, I can make it black. Oh, I can't because it's copied. Sorry. All right. If I copy it from somewhere else and I write in text, it's going to be black. If I copy this now and try to change the color, I can't. That's important to remember. But yeah, make the text black so that I can then write over it in a different color and my corrections become clear. And then the final option, if you know,
just on that as well,
oh,
sorry,
yeah.
Willem, is that in LearnCube as well, all of the colors are associated with different students. So if you are using this for a group class, you can see, for example, in Willem, see how he's got the maroon color there? You can also see the maroon color outside of his profile picture. So if you had, let's say you had 3 or 4 other students here, maybe there's a green or a blue. Not only do we show you who wrote it by hovering over the particular object, but you can also see it from the color, who's written what.
So if I go here, see it says Wilim Abrook because I'm the only one, but yeah. So yeah, for group class, that's good. The last quick thing for that question there, Stephanie, I think it was, is they send you an email. Don't copy and paste the text. Do that thing we did before where you take an image copy and then you've got a one background rather than having something that you can get confused with. It's easier to write on top of an image sometimes. Okay, I don't know. I'll go back out on my screen share. Have we got more questions here at all?
Willem, I think we're going to have to tie it up.
Good,
We're going to have to leave this for another day. I think we could keep on going though. So if you've enjoyed it today, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd love to provide more of this, this good work for you. A good way of giving us an upvote or keeping us motivated to provide more value to you is if you can give us a bit of love, either do a nice comment, do a nice review, or even just give us a good thumbs up on any of our YouTube channels. And we will try to post this to YouTube. But in the meantime, I think this is a massive thank you to you, Willem.
I'll take cash, I'll take checks.
Willem, however, does accept all forms of payment.
Yeah, every form. Yeah, I'll take gold through the post. I don't mind. All right. So yeah, it was great to kind of share my wonderful wisdom. But one big thing is that every teacher is going to come up with their own weird little ways of doing things. So please, share it with us. If you've got tips and you've got little tricks you do, definitely write that in the comments as well, because I'm hopefully, as the videos age, we'll get a big list of different tricks and stuff that people do. So definitely think of things that I didn't think of.
Yeah, that's great.
So
thank you again, Willem, and thank you all for being here. Thanks for joining us. Please subscribe to LearnCube's YouTube channel, where you'll find the latest on business, marketing, and teaching online, particularly focusing on language learning. Please subscribe now, and otherwise visit LearnCube at learncube.com. See you soon.